So, what if you could build a serious enterprise level application in a tiny fraction of the time and for a tiny fraction of the cost? Today, we're going to dig into a really interesting new model for software development that promises exactly that. The idea is to replace entire teams with just one architect who directs a team of AI agents. It's a concept some are calling the synthetic development team, and we're going to look at it through the work of someone who's actually putting it into practice. Okay, so let's break this down because it's a pretty big idea. This isn't just about a developer using a few AI tools to code a little faster. No, this is a complete reinvention of the roles. You have one person, the principal architect, who's the brain of the operation. They've got the years of experience to know what needs to be built and how to build it right. And then you have the AI agents. That's your synthetic team. They're the ones who crank out the code at lightning speed. It's all about pairing that deep human wisdom with incredible machine speed. So here's our game plan. First, we'll unpack what this new development model is all about. Then we'll see it in the real world with a pretty cool case study. We're going to explore why that deep, old-school engineering experience is so crucial for this to work, look at the specific tech that makes it all tick, and then, finally, we'll wrap it all up with the value proposition. All right, let's jump right in. We're talking about a whole new way of looking at development. The basic idea is moving away from those big, sometimes slow-moving traditional teams and shifting to something that's all about speed and high-velocity architecture. And wow, this slide really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the way things have been done for years. A whole team of people, projects that drag on for 6 months, even a year, with all the costs that come with it. But on the right, you see the new model. One architect, 2 to 4 weeks, and a potential cost saving that's just huge. The difference is night and day. Okay, but that all sounds great on paper, right? The real question is, does this actually work? Well, let's take a look at a real-world example. We're going to see the synthetic team in action with a case study on an app called Easy Attendance, which was built for the YMCA. Now, get ready for this, because this timeline is just wild. In the first week, 1 week, they delivered a production-ready mobile app. Not a demo, a working app for both iOS and Android. Then, over the next 3 weeks, they built the entire full-stack web platform to manage it all. A whole system, done and dusted in a month. I mean, that's a timeline that would be unheard of in a traditional setup. So how on earth is that even possible? Well, it goes right back to that division of labor. The architect wasn't sitting there writing thousands of lines of code. Nope. They were the director, the strategist. They laid out the blueprint, the business logic, the database design, the security rules, and then they pointed the AI agents at it and said, go. The AI wrote something like 90% of the actual code, even for really complex stuff like drag and drop features and PDF generation. Of course, building something fast is one thing. Building something fast that's also reliable and ready for a big company, well, that's another challenge entirely. And this brings us to what might be the most important piece of the puzzle. You can't direct AI effectively unless you have that deep, foundational legacy wisdom. And to put that kind of experience into perspective, take a look at this number. We're not talking about building a simple blog here. This is from a project at Xerox, a system built to serve over 33,000 employees. That's the kind of scale we're talking about. And, a system that big has to have a real impact. This quote says it all. The architecture was so well designed that it cut HR inquiries almost in half. That's what real experience gets you. It's not just about code, it's about understanding a business so well you can fundamentally change how it works. That's the kind of wisdom an AI needs to be guided by. And it's not just about handling a ton of users. It's also about managing complexity across the globe. For example, another project for Bausch& Lomb had to work across 38 different international locations. And again, look at the business results. A 40% drop in inventory, 50% faster reporting. An AI agent isn't going to just hallucinate a solution that does that. It needs a director who has been in the trenches and understands the complex logic of a global supply chain inside and out. That human experience is absolutely crucial. All right, so we've covered the why. Let's get into the how. What are the actual tools of the trade here? This is the tech stack that brings this whole model to life. Always remembering that key principle. The architect provides the logic, the AI provides the speed. So for the web, we're talking about the absolute latest and greatest stuff. Next.js, modern React. But look at the language here. The architect directed the AI on how to set up the servers. They orchestrated the user interface. They designed the database schema and the security rules. The human is making all the big, critical decisions, and then the AI is the super fast coder that turns those decisions into reality. And it's the exact same story for mobile development. The AI is guided to build the app, but here's a perfect example of where that human experience is priceless. That last point, offline-first architecture. An AI wouldn't just think of that. It doesn't know a user might be in a warehouse with terrible Wi-Fi. But an experienced architect does, and they know exactly how to design a system to handle that, then tell the AI how to build it. Okay, so let's tie this all together. What's the bottom line here? What's the real value proposition of this whole model? Well, it really just boils down to three things: radical speed, significant savings, and proven impact. I mean, these numbers really do speak for themselves. You're looking at a potential 90% cost savings, getting things done in a few weeks instead of half a year or more. And this isn't just theory. It's backed by a history of working with tens of thousands of users in dozens of countries. Those operational improvements, 40 to 50%, for a business that is a massive, massive win. And here it is, the core idea in one sentence. You are literally replacing all the overhead and complexity of a traditional 5-person IT team with a single, incredibly efficient architect-director. That's the whole pitch right there. So this leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. After seeing a model like this, you really have to stop and ask yourself, is the way you're building things right now built for the future, or is it already part of the past?